One person viewed. Okay, Brian.
We're live, right?
We're live.
Because you always say we're live, and then it's
Yeah,
been
we're
like
live.
5 seconds.
I know. I try to cut that delay. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. So,
You
oh
always say Happy
yeah.
Friday. It's out of the way. I know you always want to jump right in.
Oh yeah. I'm ready to go. All right. So this week's vidcast. First thing we're going to talk about the possibility of an EnGenius router. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll jump right into that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because so up to this point, EnGenius has, they've had some, consumer routers that maybe you'll sell to some service providers or in like huge volume or something like that.
Yeah, like ISPs.
Yeah, ISPs or something, but just like basic routers, nothing business class. So we never really have been able to recommend a router, a business class router, and it's a tough segment because there's a lot of support involved in a router, and there's little margin on it because it's usually like a mass-produced thing, right? It's like
Right.
one per network. It's like let's say $50 for a consumer grade, and there's a lot of support involved in that.
$50-$60
Yeah.
for a consumer router.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we did have that. I don't know if you remember that gateway we had?
Yeah.
Was it gateway? That
Yeah.
gateway was actually pretty good.
It was pretty. Yeah, it had nice features, but the support was too much because it had, again, the router has a ton of features that all have to work and work for everybody, and need security updates all the time and things like this. And there's very little margin and very little, very little money being made on routers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. But yeah, we want to fill out the solution, right? So
Yeah.
we want to be at the core part and
Yeah.
layer two switching. We don't have layer 3 switching, but layer 2 switching and then the access points. So we're trying to kind of fill out that solution a little more. We've had a lot of customers ask for a router, and there's definitely talks of us. Not really.
Okay.
No, there's discussions in regards to like partnerships and things like that, which
Yeah.
I can't bring up. But,
Oh yeah.
yeah. There's Eddie and I specifically are pretty excited about it because we've been, and our salespeople are we get asked about a router, and I know our engineering and R&D group. I think they've narrowed it down to like there was a partnership that we're considering, and it'd be pretty nice partnership. So we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, we're still talking about like spec of the router, like the hardware spec. We're a hardware manufacturing company, and we've definitely in the last, I don't know, 15, 12 years doing a lot of software. We're doing a ton of software, so we're doing everything now, right? So, but one of the talks right now is like, okay, what kind of hardware spec should we have on this business router? And our sweet spot is the SMB market. So, where's that right balance in regards to hardware spec, and software feature set?
Yeah. So I'm thinking of a couple of things now. So like I would want it to have at least 8 ports on it, and probably a couple SFP plus ports too, because I've seen like some of these other, like the Microtech has those that can be handy to uplink to other switches. So I'd want probably 8 ports instead of 5 that you usually see, and maybe even multi-gig ports. That probably raises the cost a lot, but if they're available, if those are available, it makes sense because then the whole, as the internet connections we see are going to go multi-gigabit, this router is going to be ready. Now, if you come out with a regular 1 gigabit router, it could be out of date really soon.
Yeah, still usable, but yeah, it would be behind.
Yeah.
In regards to the product itself, it'd be a little behind, I would think, but it would still be
for businesses. Yeah, because I mean a gigabit connection is still like really good, right? Like so.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't. A lot of businesses don't have that.
Multi-gig and 10. What about 10 gig? What do you think of 10 gig?
I think 10 gig's too far out. I mean, for a router, you're not gonna have 10 gig internet connections a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I would do is have configurable WAN ports, so have it be able to have one or two WAN ports. If they have a backup connection or they want to bond two connections for faster speeds, things like that. So don't have it limited to one WAN port. We've seen these other routers that you can select which port's the WAN, which one's the LAN, and they're all selectable. And obviously this thing needs to have a good firewall. It needs to have like good firewall software on it.
Yeah. So we're definitely talking about like a cloud gateway. So
yep,
that we're pretty excited about that. So yeah, if anybody wants to let us know what they want to see within like a gateway hardware setup, such as WAN ports, multi-gig, 10 gig, single gig, whatever it may be, SFP plus ports, let us know in the comments, and we'll take those comments in, and maybe I'll respond to a couple of things that I do know about. But yeah, just let us know what you guys are, what you think we should build if we were going to build it.
Yeah, and I was just thinking like things like captive gateway and stuff could probably, if it was all under the cloud, it could probably be pushed out to that router if you're using it, right? So probably make it more efficient or easier to manage maybe. They wouldn't have to do it on the APs anymore. They could do it on the gateway maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it would give you more flexibility for sure.
Now, I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask the question anyway, what you think, and like if anybody's listening, like what comment below, like should it be a wireless router or should it be just a straight up router, no wireless embedded whatsoever?
You know what I think.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask. So yeah, I mean, we need a wired router. No, you can buy a wireless router in Best Buy.
Exactly.
And what we need is a business class router that you're going to use with access points, and having Wi-Fi is just going to confuse the point, and people are going to turn it on, try to save a little money on one access point, and it's going to pull the whole network down because like everyone in the office is connecting to it or something,
Yeah, you want a device that's like focused purely
just on routing, and then offload all the Wi-Fi to the access points.
Exactly.
So then you have a distributed system where that router is just doing its job, and it's not trying to be a firewall and a router and also a Wi-Fi access point.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's my take on it. All right. So we talked about that. We also want to hit on shortages that we're hearing with some of these competitors, right? Like this week alone, I heard a couple people talking about Meraki and mist shortages, that they're having a hard time getting the access points, and they're putting projects off. Projects are being delayed. Switches also, like they can't get the switches. I've seen some of these vendors, their switch back order is like months now, so it's going to delay these projects. So I mean, what can we say? What can you say right now is that there are no shortages with EnGenius switches and cloud managed switches and APs.
Yeah, we do definitely see like we do experience some of the issues. Like I know like Ubiquity is one of those guys that came up in regards to availability was issue. Availability seems to be an issue with them more than like a Meraki or a Mist or another vendor out there, but they're definitely feeling the pressure too in regards to this chipset shortage. With EnGenius, like we're not experiencing it yet, but not saying it we won't experience it. So just got to be careful with that. But yeah, because we're a manufacturer, we do bring in like a lot of components to build our product. So we schedule things out just like everybody else, but we have direct relationships with the component supplier, so we don't have that shortage as of right now. We have stock of access points, specifically access points and layer 2 switches. The beauty of that is our access points and our switches will work. They're inclusive, so they'll work in any network.
Yep.
Specifically, this more so on the switches, like our layer 2 switches. I always talk about our cloud switches, but they're really hybrid switches. So you could take that switch and put it in a Meraki network, a Mist network, a Ubiquity network, or whatever network. It doesn't matter. Any vendor. and it will work, no problem.
Yeah.
And it can be managed by EnGenius's cloud. It could be managed by SNMP. It could be managed by, just local control, like through GUI. The access points are, cloud access points are a little more difficult. Not difficult, but yeah, you're going to, if you buy a cloud access point from us, you're using our cloud management platform to manage it. If you buy our on-premise access points, you don't necessarily have to use our management system. So it just really depends, but we definitely have the availability. I know like 11N products and 11AC products are the ones that are really having some major problems right now from what I've heard.
Yeah.
As you know, we launched 11AX early on, so we have 11AX. Any more, and what's your opinion? If you're deploying Wi-Fi, it should be Wi-Fi 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're still seeing, like, for budgetary concerns, like, some people are using 11AC Wave 2, if they don't have a requirement for Wi-Fi 6, but most people are going Wi-Fi 6, just because it's going to future-proof you. It's going to give you better performance because, the internet connections are getting faster. They're they're gigabit and above, and you're only going to see that benefit if you're on Wi-Fi 6.
Yeah, and you said something that like we say a lot is like future proofing. What does that mean exactly? Like, so the Wi-Fi 6 just communicates more efficiently.
Yeah.
Over the Wi-Fi.
It's going to scale better. Yeah.
It's going to scale better.
Yeah.
And as you have these devices come into your network, if you have legacy devices, they'll still work. But as you have new devices coming in, and the old devices get cycled out, the performance of the network will get better with Wi-Fi 6 access points, and we've seen that with some of our customers. Like, the overall performance is just better. So I wouldn't even consider, I'm not trying to upsell. I wouldn't even consider 11AC Wave 2 or just use Wi-Fi 6 for all my installations. If you asked us like 2 years ago, people were saying, "Oh, I'm going to only use that in an enterprise and a large scale like kind of project, like a large university or like a stadium or something like that." Well, we made it available to the SMB market. I would use that pretty much in any install. I mean, I use Wi-Fi 6 at my house. You do too.
Yeah.
Customers are using it, Wi-Fi 6 in their homes. You shouldn't even, quite honestly, you shouldn't be using 11AC. You should just use Wi-Fi 6. That's kind of my take on that. But anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, just to put it in terms like financially, I mean, I think that if you install a Wi-Fi 6 network now, you're probably going to be good for like 5 years, right? Like, probably maybe less, but I would say you'd be good for 5 years with that Wi-Fi 6 network. You may want to supplement it with 6E when that comes out, but if you install 11AC Wave 2 network right now, maybe you only get 3 years out of it before, your internet connection.
Probably 2 years.
Yeah, so that's the way to quantify it, I guess. Maybe your cost is half on the access points, but then you got to figure in your installation cost is your highest part. So it's going to end up costing you more probably in the long run to install the older equipment.
Those 11AC devices. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
Those 11AC devices are supporting. Those APs support WPA3. You got to make sure it's got the latest security protocols on it. Wi-Fi 6E is right around the corner, but again, the same thing was with 11AC. The same thing was Wi-Fi with Wi-Fi 6. Just in general, the client devices support. That will take some time, but so yeah, you would have 4 to 5 years on Wi-Fi 6.
Yeah.
And then the next step would be Wi-Fi 6E.
And they're compatible, so you can layer in some Wi-Fi 6E in like areas where you have like need high density or you have some concerns with the interference or something like that, right? You could just layer that in as the devices come in, they'll take advantage of it. But I guess what we want to say with these shortages is right now we don't have any shortages with EnGenius or Ruckus really. And if you have a Meraki network or Ubiquiti network and you're looking for switches, you can use these EnGenius cloud switches. They're going to slot right in there. You can build out your wired part of the network, and then when the access points are available, you can get those because you probably don't want to mix and match access points. If you were using Meraki, unless you want to replace them all with EnGenius, which would be good with that too.
License free.
Yeah, license free. So, but the thing is, a lot of these projects are, a lot of the grunt work is like installing the wired network, the switches, running the cabling. You can't do that if you don't have any switches. You can't test anything until you have the switches.
Yeah.
So I guess we have these switches available. We actually have a promotion going on right now too to make them even more affordable, right?
On the Switch side.
On the Switch side, yeah. So all right, so enough of that marketing. So next kind of fits in. We wanted to talk about hospitality Wi-Fi this summer. So the pandemic's like kind of coming to an end now. I heard today exponential drop off in new cases. That sounds good to me. That means maybe within the next few days we're not going to see many cases anymore. So that means everyone's going to be getting back to traveling and then we stay in hotels and RV parks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we get, I would say every day we receive requests about RV parks. Yeah. I didn't realize there were so many RV parks in the U.S., but...
Oh, they're everywhere.
Every day we get a request on RV parks. It's all outdoor Wi-Fi, and we've been doing that from 2003. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot of experience in it, and it may not be our favorite vertical, but it's definitely there. There's definitely lots of RV parks.
So why is it not your favorite?
Well, just because it's just like a different, it's a different customer. Like they're
just the environments are difficult. Let's say it that way.
Environments are difficult, and also that they tend to try to install it themselves, and there's like a. The owners try to install it themselves, and they do it like year after year. It's kind of a mismatch of hardware, and it can get really messy. They're not willing to pay somebody usually to come in there and like do a clean install, do it the right way. They just want to add to it as they see, problems here and there, or change things here or there. So and they don't necessarily want to listen to your recommendations or understand what you're recommending.
They take in the recommendations and they don't do them.
Right.
But yeah, one of those things is running cable, right? They want to do point to point, they want to do meshing, they want to do repeating, because they're just trying to cut on cost. And in the long run, that just turns into problems, right? So But yes, we've seen a major uptick in RV parks. It's interesting because we were talking about hospitality before we started this, and like we're seeing an uptick in hospitality as well. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I'm getting contacted by a lot of like installers that are doing, hotel upgrades. All of a sudden, they're all in a hurry because I think this upcoming weekend, holiday weekend, like a lot of people are traveling, and a lot of these systems, the Wi-Fi systems, haven't been used maybe in a year, or they have, but lightly. Right now, they're all of a sudden they're going to hit with lots of business fully loaded, and maybe their systems aren't up to it. So I'm hearing from a lot of hotels that are looking to get their systems running to supplement, to install new systems. So again, for these guys, we recommend Wi-Fi 6 and cloud-based Wi-Fi is the way to go for the installers. Because I've seen some of these systems, like Ruckus in particular, they have like an on-site controller, the zone director, and maybe after many years they have one fail or something, and I would recommend just going to the cloud, because that gives you management of all your sites remotely, gives you software updates, support, all that stuff. So
major updates on the back end, in the cloud. Feature set, right? So like, just three days ago, we just added more features to our cloud system, and we haven't communicated it out to our dealer base, and it's just there. When they log in next time, it's just there. There's a new feature.
There's new features.
They didn't have to do anything.
Right.
So that's a big deal.
And
so you can experience that. So you don't have to go through. Oh, I have to do a firmware update on the controller. Then I may have to update the firmware on the access points. And or the switches, so there's a lot that goes into especially when they're in this crunch time where they want to get this hotel up and running.
that like you mentioned, like they may have a controller fail, then they have to bring in a new controller. Make sure that it's on the same, right software version for the access point. They may have to touch all the access points and upgrade the firmware manually, which takes a lot of time. Versus get all the serial numbers for those access points and just add them to the cloud.
Well, yeah, and the cases that we're talking about is like they're already there. So there's automatic firmware updates based off of like here's the new feature set. Okay, the access points need to be updated. Yeah, the firmware is written into the cloud, and it's based off of scheduling, per person scheduling, and it will update on the next cycle of firmware updates. So, yeah, they don't even really have to touch it.
And so, yeah, with the EnGenius, it's all the ECW and ECS product, all the cloud managed product.
Yeah.
With the Ruckus, it's really any access point that, like from the R500, I believe, and newer, that can be cloud managed. So if you're using a Ruckus system with a zone director, just contact me. I can help you set it up with the cloud. Get those things on the cloud. They'll automatically update the firmware. All you need is the serial numbers, and you can kind of get rid of that zone director and that's sitting there aging. The cloud's a way better way to go because you can remotely manage all your sites from one pane.
Right.
And the same thing goes for EnGenius, obviously.
Yeah. And so, like, specifically in the hospitality industry, so we're seeing this uptick, right? Now, what we're seeing is a lot of renovations happening.
Yeah.
And they're updating. We're seeing, like, new hotels coming into play as well.
Yeah.
So we're seeing both, like, new hotels, and we're also seeing, like, renovations.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, it's one or the other, right? So, but we are seeing more and more... within the hotel industry, so that's a really good sign. Which that's been pretty quiet for the last year.
Yeah, right. That was so. I think in the last year we've been busier than ever, but it's more been like schools and churches and things like that where they're having remote services or services in the parking lot or something like that, right? We saw tons of that. Not so much hotels. Now we're seeing hotels coming back on, and RV parks, obviously. Yeah. RV parks have been all along, I think, because people have been, they were last year they were looking to buy campers and stuff, but now I think everyone's hitting the road this year. Like I just saw something that on this holiday weekend, most people they're not going to be flying still. They're going to be driving to their destinations. So that means lots of hotels along the way are going to need Wi-Fi. I'm leaving next Thursday, everyone. So get your orders in. Get your orders in before that. I'm driving out west, so I'm going to experience some of these hotels myself and see how they are. But yeah, I think we're seeing like this big reopening now, and just make sure that your Wi-Fi system is up to snuff for this.
Yeah. So that brings up a good kind of a good topic. So. We're seeing this uptick in demand, right? Or this uptick in the industry in a couple different industries. Availability is going to be the issue.
Yeah.
Availability, hardware availability is going to be the issue because we're running into this shortage. So this is going to be interesting to see. So you have this demand coming in, and now you have this availability on a product, and it's not going to, projects are going to be delayed, but right now we don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, EnGenius has a huge advantage because they have their own factories, right? Like, they're actually manufacturing equipment for other manufacturers. A lot of people don't realize that, but, like, a lot of your other big, I'm not going to say who, but a lot of the other big access point vendors out there are being, manufactured by EnGenius in their factories. That's why we hardly ever see shortages, right? Like, unless there's, like, a chip that's not available for a long period of time.
Yeah, so you should edit that out.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't say any. Really? I didn't drop any names.
So anyway, like EnGenius, we manufacture. We've been manufacturing for over 30 years. So we have a lot of control over the components, and so we bring in a lot of components to manufacture our devices. So, and we're manufactured in Taiwan, so we're TA compliant.
Yeah.
So that's government contracts. We fit in those government contracts. We do fit in like healthcare and education and so on. So
nice. All right. Well, so let us know if you guys need any switches. We have them, and we even have if you act fast, we have a special rebate on them too. So on the
that
cloud
might go
switches,
away. Actually,
it might go away because we're selling so many. That I thought so. So anyway, so remember to like and subscribe for more help with Wi-Fi, and we'll talk soon.